If you're a young engineer and you're applying for jobs right now, or you're going to be applying for jobs very soon, this advice is for you. Spend at least 1 week before your interview doing mock interviews. And in my experience in the past 7 to 8 years at John Deere, with a lot of recruiting events, I've done a lot of interviewing for multiple different levels of positions. This is the best advice I can give you is you have to spend at least a week doing mock interviews. And my advice is 2 mock interviews a day for the week leading up to the interview. And before that, you'd want to spend a week memorizing your examples so you know them just like you know your own birthday and your own address. But in the mock interviews, one of the biggest roadblocks I hear people tell me is that they don't have somebody who's qualified to do a mock interview with them, right? They're trying to seek out another engineer, they're trying to seek out somebody who's been a manager, somebody who's hired people. Here's the thing, try to find the most qualified person you can. But even if you just have to do a mock interview with your grandmother, or with your mom or your dad or your brother or your roommate, or just a friend that's not even in engineering, it's vastly more valuable than preparing for interviews by yourself. See, just having somebody there sitting across the table from you, asking the questions that even maybe you provided that list of questions, it puts you in that practice mode that you just don't get by yourself. When you're by yourself, you aren't really on stage, right? There's really nothing at stake. And even if the person sitting across the table from you helping you practice is not a technical person, not an engineer, not a hiring manager, etc., they can still give you some intelligent feedback about if your example was easy to follow, was it difficult to follow. They might have some natural follow-up questions just from their own curiosity. Ask them, hey, like, what would you be curious about after I tell you about this experience I had? They might say, oh, okay, that's interesting. Well, did you think about doing this? Or what would you do different next time if you could do that project over again? Or, oh, it sounds like you had some friction between you and this person on your team. Well, how did you deal with that? Any intelligent human being can think of some follow-up questions, right? That would spark you to think and spark you to come up with those answers before you get to the interview and the interview panel asks you those questions. So I don't think anybody has an excuse not to do the mock interviews, even if you don't have somebody who you think is qualified to be giving you feedback on the interview. Grab any person of an adult age that has any intelligence. They should be able to at least sit across the table, ask the questions, tell you if it made sense, tell you if your story tracked as far as timeline, tell you if you had a lot of ums and ahs, tell you if you stuttered through it, tell you if you kind of said things and you tried to go back and then say, oh, I forgot to mention this point, right? Any intelligent human being can sense those things in an interview without having engineering experience, without having manager experience. So take advantage, prepare for the week ahead of your interviews with mock interviews, grab anybody you have available. The more qualified they are, the better, but don't use that as an excuse to not practice at all.